Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Marcia from Mom Hunstead People, and we are still in the inquest of the Lizzie Borden trial. Today, we have Charles S. Sawyer up. He is Lizzie and Emma's lawyer. So let's dive right in. August 11, 1892. Charles S. Sawyer. What is your name? Charles S. Sawyer. Where do you live? At 78 2nd Street. How far is that from the Borden house? The third house. The third house south, third house north. This way. Yes, sir. On the same side of the street? Yes, sir. Were you acquainted with Mr. Borden? Yes, sir. I knew him not intimately. I had some business with him. Did you visit the family? No, sir, I was not in the habit. I had been there in the house. I used to go there once in a while to make some little purchases in vinegar and stuff. You were not a calling acquaintance of the family? No, sir. What was the first you saw that attracted your attention with reference to this matter? Oh, now that's something I want to know. Like, were you always his lawyer? Or did you come on specifically as a defense attorney? It was pretty high profile murder. Not only was it sensational, and the double murder that somehow by some miraculous way took place around two other people in the house. That always blows my mind when that happens. And that they never saw anything, no idea what happened, just they were just up and murdered gruesomely. Or did you take it on because it was giving a lot of attention because they were prominent members of the community? So I'll keep reading and let's find out. Because I'm sure you want to know just as much as I do. You know we're both gossipy, and it's okay. I was in the machine shop opposite where I live, and a gentleman came in there, a drummer from Providence, and he reported that a man named Borden just above here had been stabbed. I started out to make some inquiries, and as I stood talking with the three gentlemen at the foot of the stairs, this was upstairs, I saw Miss Alice Russell going up on the other side of the street. Knowing that she had been a near neighbor and quite intimate with the girls, of course I went over to inquire if she had heard. She told me yes, she had heard, and was going right up there, so I followed along to see if I could get any particulars about it. I went as far as the gate. She did not seem to be very talkative, but considerably excited. Running? No, sir, she was not running, but walking quite fast. I turned to leave the gate and had not gone down some little distance from the gate. Officer Allen came along, and I walked along with him a little ways to see if he had heard anything. When he got to the gate, he says, "You better come right in. I want you to tend the door." So I followed him in. When we got to the door, he says, "Now you stand right here at the door and allow no one to go in or out. I want to make some investigation here." I don't know as that was the exact words, but that was the purport of it. So he went in and went through the house, I supposed, and I stood at the gate all the time. During that time, Miss Borden was in the kitchen with Miss Russell, Mrs. Churchill, and Dr. Bowen and the servant girl. That was all that were there at that time, except Officer Allen, who had gone in. When you got in there, who did you find? I found the servant girl, Lizzie Borden, Miss Alice Russell, the lady I had been up with before, and Mrs. Churchill. Dr. Bowen, I think, was there, and I could not say whether he had been there before and just gone out or not. I could not say about that. Allen went in with you. Yes, I went in when Officer Allen did. That was Miss Borden's appearance. Miss Borden sat in a chair in the kitchen. She seemed to be considerable excited, I thought, as though she was apparently grief-stricken or something, although I might not be a judge in that respect. She seemed to be considerably excited and very uneasy, and the ladies seemed to be ministering to her. That is, bathing her face. Now remember, when they say excited, they don't necessarily mean it in the same way that we would now, as excited as upbeat and oh my God, we're going to go do something really great and fantastic. They just mean excited as in your emotions in general are excited. So it could be she was very excited with grief, or her anxiety was excited. Literally just any emotion. Your lust was excited. It literally just meant any emotion was excited. They just kind of used it as a catch-all. Crying. I can't say that she was crying. I could not tell exactly. I did not go way into the kitchen at all until after that some little time I stood near that door. I know there was quite an entryway. Judge Blaisdell. Which door? At the north-facing door, the side door with the screen and hook. And seeing as everybody processes shock and grief differently, and I'm not going to make any judgments on whether she's crying or not. And I know a lot of people are like, did you see that? Somebody died, like she found her family murdered and she didn't even cry. Well, yeah, she might not have. It's called shock. I've been in situations where I've been in shock and you're just trying to process because your mind goes blank and you're trying to figure out what to do and not understanding how things work anymore. And it does. It takes a while. And then later you process things have gone on and you're able to cry and scream and do all the things that you feel is appropriate to process your emotions. But if she's in shock, then that would explain not crying. Could also explain if she was a yeller. Some people yell. They just sit there and yell when they go into shock. Could you see into the kitchen? I could look into the kitchen. I could not see the whole of it, but I could see the biggest part of it. Did you go into the house? I walked into the door. I kept the door locked on the inside. I walked in at the door, the cellar, which was right close there. I bolted it. There was a bolt on the side in the entry. I did not know, but from the actions around there might possibly be somebody in there. What was the appearance of the servant girl? Anybody else kind of annoyed that they just keep referring to Bridget as the servant girl? I mean, maybe it's just me. I mean, they also tried to rename her before and be like, oh, we're just going to call her Maggie. And now they've just thrown that out the window because nobody was referring to her as Maggie and just they've gone to the servant girl. The servant girl appeared to be, well, somewhat frightened. I thought she acted as though she was considerably excited. Although she talked intelligently, anything that was said to her, and she seemed very willing to give any information that she knew anything about. Did you hear the servant girl say anything? Yes, I heard her motion something about that note that had been sent. What was it that she said? I heard her say something about Mrs. Borden saying she had received a note, but I can't seem to recollect just how she put it, whether she said Mrs. Borden told her or somebody else told her. I also heard Mrs. Churchill mention that fact. What did she say? I think she said that Mrs. Borden had received a note calling her out. At that time, I was not actually sure that Mr. Borden was killed. I understood he had been stabbed. You did not go in to see him? No, sir, not then. Finally, I went in. I says, is he dead? Yes, they says he is dead. Who said that? Mrs. Churchill says, oh, yes, he is dead. Dr. Bowen stood there and asked me if I would like to see him. I don't know, as he opened the door, he turned and pointed in, and I saw a sheet thrown over a body, some little signs of blood on it. Dr. Bowen asked me if I would like to see it. I did not particularly want to see it, but at that same time, I went in and I looked at it. They're just asking to do it. It's like, hey, you want to see the dead body? Like, you want to confirm that he's dead? And he's like, well, like, not really, but you said something, so now I feel like I kind of have to, because weird dead body looking peer pressure? Sure, I guess. And I guess the sheet must have just been thrown over because I just have a hard time visualizing this. His face was hacked, and we have one officer, I don't remember if it was Harrington or Doherty or Allen, but they're like, it's got thin cuts, like cut by a razor. And I'm like, cool, they're not very deep then if they're thin razor cuts, but they would still bleed a lot because head, face bleeding, all the capillaries, all of them are like up in your head region. And then he's like, well, I couldn't even tell that he was dead. And it's like, but the other guy said that his eyeball was hanging out. So why do we have such hugely contradicting stories on this? I mean, he's saying like the sheet's over him, but there's only just little bits of blood on it. Some little signs of blood. I mean, so I'm picturing in my mind just like maybe like a little speck here, a little speck there, blood, and that's like it. But I guess it's more than that. I mean, we don't know what he means by some little signs. Maybe his some little signs are some big signs to us, or at least to me. All right, let's see. Did you hear Miss Lizzie say anything? No, I did not hear Miss Lizzie say but very little. I don't know that I heard her say anything that I could really repeat. She did speak to some of the ladies there. Were you there when Mrs. Borden was found? Yes, sir, I was. She was found some time after I had been there. Do you know how she happened to be found? Somebody had said, although I was out in the entry at the time, I understood it there was some inquiry made where Mrs. Borden was. Who made that inquiry, I don't know. What reply was made to the inquiry? I did not hear that. After the inquiry had been made, I stood at the kitchen, just inside the door, and Mrs. Churchill came up to me. Apparently, I'd come from some other part of the house. She says, Mrs. Borden is dying. She seemed to be quite excited. She says, Mrs. Borden is dying, I think from the shock. Where she got her information, I don't know, whether she went up to see you or not. And we do know because we've already read Mrs. Churchill's statement. She's like, I saw her on the ground. She was dead. And I guess she's now telling people that she just died of shock. I mean, she did say she did not want to go in there. She's like, not happening. I'm going back downstairs. Like, this is too many dead people for me. This is one too many. Like, one was a lot, two is too many. Were you there when Morse returned? I was there when Morse returned. I suppose the time he returned. Whether he had been there before, I don't know. Oh, okay. I get it. So he was there when the uncle got back. But whether the uncle was there, left, and came back, he doesn't know. Okay, I get it. Sometimes a bit slow on these things. Where did you first see him? He came towards me from the gate. I stood on the steps at that time, standing outside the door and holding the door outside. He came along to the step and he said, For God's sake, what has happened here? I looked at him. I had not seen him. He was a stranger to me. I told him Mr. or Mrs. Borden have been murdered, been killed, something to that effect. My God, he says. And I left Mr. Borden right at this door and he told me to come back to dinner. How long was that after you got there, as far as you can estimate time? I should judge somewhere in the neighborhood of very near 12 o'clock or a little after. Of either way, I should say a little after. Where did you see him first? Coming from towards the gate along the walk. Whether he had come through the gate or not, I don't know. Was anybody with you at the time? I'm not sure about that. I don't think that there was, unless the servant girl might have been inside the door or somebody inside the door at the time. The servant girl would go out and in there through that entry sometimes when I was outside. He's like all up around there when Alan literally told him, like, guard the door. But I mean, I guess they just didn't have a lot of officers. I mean, we know a whopping 3. We definitely know there's more from the way back. We know that there's more because when they were like, the chief was like, go get so and so and go get so and so. But after the initial brief little look into the police station, we really only learned about 3 officers: Allen, Harrington, and Doherty. Was there much of a crowd there at that time? At that time, there was quite a little crowd there, in the house or out on the street. They had been driven out to the yard by an officer there in attendance. The officers were there then. Yes, when he came. Plural to singular, so not many officers, just one officer showed up after Allen. I have a vague recollection of that. Oh well, I just remember the 3. Okay, so sure, somebody else showed up. Were the people in the street? Yes, sir. Many. Well, yes, sir, I should say there was. My view was limited, not more than the width of the yard, but the fences appeared to be pretty well filled up. And previous to that, there had been quite a crowd in the yard. Did you notice whether Mr. Morse was eating a pear or not, or eating anything? Oh my God, what is with your pears? I guess he's thinking that Morse had been hiding out in the barn this whole time. Like, he was just chilling, like he murdered and then chilling out in the backyard eating pears. No, sir, he was not when he spoke to me at that time. What did he do when you told him? My God, he says, what kind of a God have we got that will permit a deed like this to have been done? Something like that. Okay, a little hyperbolic, but sure. I mean, I get the gist of it, and you guys all speak weird to me. And I speak weird to everybody else because I'm from Charleston, so fair. What did he do then? He stood there a few minutes and finally went inside of the door. Whether he had been in before or not, you don't know. No, sir, he had not been in at that door before. That was the first time I had seen him. You had been near the door all the time? Yes, sir. From the time I went there with Officer Allen, I should judge that might have been a little after 11. He was at the door the whole time except for when he went to go view the body due to weird body viewing peer pressure. Have you any way of fixing the time when the thing was told you by this Providence man? Not exactly. While I was up in the machine shop, this gentleman came in and reported it, and he told a man there afterwards that he came from Providence that morning and had landed at the Mellon House. I judged that he came from the Mellon House directly to his store. I judged from that he came on the 10:30 train, although it seemed to me a little earlier than that. I thought I was there about 11 or a little before. I might be mistaken. I did not note or look at the time. Who was the man? He sells machinist supplies for a firm in Providence. I suppose Mr. Rich could tell that. I had seen him once or twice there, and I don't know who the man was. Is there any other fact you have not told us that you saw or heard connected with the affair? I went up to the room where Mrs. Borden was found and saw her lying there and saw the blood on the bed, or at least on the shams. Apparently, a smooch had struck me on the counterpane or coverlet. What? I don't know what that means. Okay, I get shams. That's part of bedding. Counterpane or coverlet bedding. Apparently, a smooch, it struck me. The only thing that comes to mind for smooch is like kiss, smooch. Sorry for the unattended ASMR there. Oh, he leaves him and comes back. Okay, let's get into this then. Okay. Did you see any more bloody cloths around there? No, except what was around Mrs. Borden. I did not stop there long. I thought I had got to stay to the door. I stayed there until 6:00. Mr. Sawyer returns. I don't understand if anyone is talking here because it says he returns. I'm thinking this is a continuation of his last answer. While I was there, the story was going around with regard to a Portuguese or some foreigner that was working on the farm. Miss Alice Russell came to me and said that Miss Lizzie Borden was very anxious that story should be suppressed because she said he was a very nice man and a very old and tired servant of the family, and she was deeply concerned about it. Miss Russell made this talk with me. Lizzie did not say anything about it. Oh, that's kind of nice. She's like, stop harassing the poor Portuguese man with his nosebleeding children. They have issues. Like, they just randomly get nosebleeds and bleed over axes. Leave the poor man alone. And I agree. Just leave the poor man alone. His kids have nosebleed issues and axe issues. Was Miss Lizzie present at the time Miss Russell told you that? No, she had been sent up to her room at this time. When they came down and reported that her mother had been killed, she apparently went off into some kind of a swoon or hysterical fit. I don't know exactly what, and Dr. Bowen said she better be carried up to her room. Which room was she taken to? I don't know. I did not go up. Was it the front or back way? I could not say that either. Who went up with her? I think Miss Russell. Okay, that is it for Mr. Sawyer. And next time is Augusta D. Tripp, who I don't remember her name coming up. Did we have a Tripp? But I am so losing track of names, especially with my time off for surgery. We may have had a Tripp. There was a lot of people in the witness statements, a lot of people. I remember them harassing the poor Portuguese guy. Just can't help but feeling sorry for that dude. I think they only actually interviewed him once or twice, but it was written in the witness statements like so many times it felt like they were harassing him. And then they went on a big thing about trying to find some random guy who's asking for a hurried ride out of town. And he's like, I will pay you so much money if you just get me out of town. And then that just seemed to have stopped. Like they never figured anything out. So they're like, cool, Lizzie did it. Like we got nobody else. Lizzie did it. And I do have a feeling that they tried to pin it at least a little bit on Bridget. And then they're like, Lizzie's an easier one. I mean, it's like she's single at her age. And she's like really into money. And and we haven't covered it in this, but did you hear that she goes to the gym and brags about how strong she is? Okay, I've only heard about that, so it's not in evidence yet. We don't have the evidence for that. But I'm really hoping that it's true and it comes in. But either way, I'm so far, I mean, we're only halfway through all the evidence we've been presented so far. And we have way more evidence than a jury would have. But I'd be like, just not guilty. You haven't proved anything for me yet. But we have tons more to go because we still have to finish the second part of the inquest. And I have legit forgot what comes after that. But there's still the whole trial to get through. So all of you that are using me as a body double, come on, keep using me. It's fine. Just remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to subscribe. Hell, leave a comment if it's just a little smiley face. The algorithm gods love it. So until next time, everyone, happy hunting.